Hello TSG, I'm Kurt Holfeder and this is your August 20-minute challenge. This month is going to be focusing on accuracy of our tip placement utilizing the engine of the Oberhau to get into vice being a cut thrust, more of a cut thrust in on one motion. This right here, I employ this several times in a lot of fights, and it's great because it covers grounds quickly as well as keeps the line in which you're cutting against covered. We're not talking about a Scheitelhau, we're talking about an Oberhau left or right that covers in and allows the cross to be in a very angle that protects from oncoming cuts to the hands. So this month, like I said, it's really going to be focusing on accuracy a lot more. We are still going to explore body dynamics along with this, just like last month as far as the sphere count is concerned, but much more again looking into the body dynamics of the Oberhau swing. So that being the case, typical warm-ups again, making sure that you're lubed up for this because this will be a lot of squeezing of the lower core as well as utilization of the shoulders. We're talking about shoulder rotations, definitely wrist rotations, air squats, jump squats, leg hinges, motivators, any of those right there to get yourself limbered up. Definitely strengthen up the core with some ab work. Crunches will just do fine. That's easy enough there. For the blade workouts here, similar from last time, it will be again into our blade raisers. Again, we did very familiar here with this. Going slower with this. And the reason I want you to get slower with this is there's a piece of this, your fingers, I want you to get used to, especially with your non-dominant hand. So since I'm a righty, my left hand, I want your bottom two fingers to focus on squeezing when it comes down to a specific action. So when it's down, they're squeezed. When it's up, to squeeze it up, I want the top two to focus on this. So you go rocking this back and forth between this. You see this in many sports as far as like with kendo, they just allow for kind of a snap popping, a quick reaction type concept. But the reason why I'm doing this right here is more of the action to get in so we can charge our hands to create additional power once we're cutting through to our point. So as you're doing blade raisers, really focus on this being a little bit slower. So as I'm raising up here, I'm gripping with the top two. When I'm here, I'm squeezing with the bottom two. Here. Next one, moving into your sword cyclones. And then we're going to introduce a new one, which I call half cutting. All it really is imagine if you're taking a full Oberhau swing, stopping here, and you're stopping at your point, coming up and down. And again, this is to charge this hand, the rear hand, into going from here, I'm squeezing the top two, and down. And this is all hand work at this point, okay? So I'm not proposing that people just do cutting like this. That's not necessarily anything, but I'm talking about being able to get the hands charged with this. Keep special focus on your right hand, not gripping too tightly. Let it hold steady. A technique which I saw, and I can't remember who it was to keep your lead hand open like this. That way you know it's going to stop, which means you have to use the pommel to let the base of your hand stop your cut. Okay. Try that out a few times. You'll find that your rear hand actually gets a good forearm workout for that. Rotate between both hands while you're doing that for the half cutting piece is concerned. Now the next portion of this is going to be kind of tying this all together when it comes to the body dynamic. And what we're going to be looking at here is focusing on largely how this action all works together. And just like with the sphere cow drill, we talked about being here, and from this portion coming around and letting the legs do the work to cut, we're doing the same thing, but this time from an Oberhau perspective. And for the Oberhau perspective here, we're going to hold ourselves in your strong side Vom Tag from here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to simply work our legs. Now all I want you to do is it's going to be clenching here all the way up into your glutes and doing the same thing. Again, I'm not telling you to swing this way. This is about strengthening the muscles that create that forward motion propellants. What you'll also notice is the blade starts lifting off my shoulder. That's because the momentum is already starting there. Hence the body starting the cutting. So while we're in this position, I want you to pay a note here, and put this off the side. My chest, the center line of the chest is pointing this way. As I start to come up with this, you'll notice it pushes this way. Triangulation to the point. So again, the same concept. If I'm here, my right hand stays in the center of my body, like we've discussed before. Again, we're not talking about swinging just yet. From the side view, you can see this again. Do this on each side. Calves are good thing, you get a good burn out of this, as well as your glutes and your quads. The big thing right there, I held my hands open so you could see there's really no force here. This right here, the fact that it is going is all because my body's shifting. So do that to the right side and then to the left side, or vice versa. Again, if you're righty, keep your right hand on top. Lefty, keep your left on top, and so switch to the other side. So again, same concept. Again, you'll start seeing that the blade's going to go out in front of you. Next thing to do is now employ that finger work here. Again, keep your hands straight off this if you find yourself gripping this. If you want to swing with your hands, it's not the answer right now. Just the fingers, let that happen. And the point of this is now we're taking that half cutting, right? Taking that half cutting, and we are now powering through it utilizing our hands. So again, in the right Vom Tag, as you come forward, this right here, you're going to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Relax the shoulders, try to keep them level, don't come up. Other side. Again, you'll notice right here it's going to pop out. You're trying to keep it so you have tip right alignment here. I recommend if you're doing this, take a paper plate, maybe put a little circle on that, whatever the case may be, or just a plate in general, as you're practicing your target alignment. I'm using this right here. I use my phone quite a bit to make sure I have the tip on line there. That works very well too. Just a couple other options out there. Tennis balls work great because that way if you're trying to hit it, but stop right before. If you hit it, then you know it's too much power. These are great feedback tools. So now that we've done this, and you can tell, again, so that's with just the hips, that's really powering through it, right? And now using the hands. Each time it stops. Now the reason why this is happening is a few things I've noticed. From here, if you notice, I'm not slipping it this way. As soon as I grip, it puts the blade down. It stops it from being a this, which puts hands first, and just makes it a forward. So it's this first. It minimizes the time where the hands are in front of the arc. Adding the arms to this, which now goes into which is moving into the actual drill itself, tip to target, you'll start seeing that the blade actually goes out and extends. Now remember, Zorn Ort coming through and then extending forward with it. But what if that was all one technique? What if that was all one movement? I know there's plenty out there that may have, that say that this is the same opinion of that. It's cool. Ultimately, this is my concept as far as how to get this from here to here quickly in a cutting arc that allows for you to close the line if need be. So again, here, coming over with the hands, it stops here in front. But now adding the arms, again, if you watch, I'm going to try to slow this down. I'm not doing this. I'm not pulling and then pushing. It's squeezing and letting the hand go with it. Extending the arms. Again, shoulders are try to keep them as level as possible. Switch to the other side. Okay, so again, this is all your left hand squeezing into it, using the bottom portion of your fingers, and then your body and your core popping it forward. So now that you've done that, and starting to get that, this is all just, again, this is all body strengthening and power control, right? So we're trying to get it so that I'm not expecting people in the middle of a fight to be like, okay, what did he say? Okay, I'm gonna squeeze right here, I'm gonna step up like this. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying those muscles are the engagement points, and we have to work them. So the drill, tip to target, is just like this. Measure yourself out from a target area. So I'm right here, I should be able to walk straight in on my tip, right? Stop yourself about a foot away from where your tip ends to your target, so that you can extend into that cut. Into that thrust. Try to avoid keeping your arms up like that. I would do that as an demonstration, but you're not trying to do this on somebody. It's here, extending, right? In this case, extend and follow through at that point. As you start getting better with this, like I said, pick a target there and aim to get your tip into it. Aim, aim, aim to make sure that it goes to that same spot. I'm in a fence line right here, so if you've seen some of the other videos, I do this consistently, trying to make sure that my tip goes to this. Again, this is what I call much more like you're cutting into a thrust, which allows you to come right there. Am I saying that you should stop all cutting? Absolutely not. Cutting's great. But if you have the opportunity, if they're sitting here like this, just waiting, rather than cutting here and waiting to see what they do, just cut right through their face. Put the tip right in their mouth. And from there, they will go along this lines right here, which then from there you can take another response from it. Note some things of note of this right here. Don't look to come straight and keep the tip. My cross is not protecting me here. Aim, and also if you notice here, my arm is now straight and my shoulder is elevated. If you're gonna throw a shuttle, have your shoulders in line with that. But this is an Oberhaut cutting at an angle. Keep the tips and let your body go forward. That's the first one. Keep the cross in a line to protect your hands. Second thing, don't overcommit so much that if you find yourself just charging forward with this. This should be able to be retractable. If I put the tip in someone's face and it's too fast and they're able to catch it and now I'm not able to do anything, it goes to grappling. If I don't know how to grapple, I'm in trouble. So with this right here, make sure too when you put the tip in their face, you also stop and then able to retract and move it in any other direction if possible. Or control the step in. Cutting to that long point out there really puts the tip in line, and if they don't like it, they're going to bat it away, and if they don't, thrust them in the face. It's right there. You can use this by going left and right. This also is a variable, like I said, from using the right and the left. Try to keep your hands in place. Don't whip it. And ultimately, the big thing is striking that tip into the center line. And then from there, just finishing out with your leg work. So, like I said, it's a little bit different, this 20-minute challenge for August. I wanted to focus on something that was kind of, a basic fundamental principle. And, Zornort, Zornhau are, I think, they're basic fundamentals that are, I think, can be confused at times. I think people look at it and think this is this massive cut to the side, which it might, but I think that if you have, specifically within Zornort, you're talking about utilizing your Zornhau to enter in and extend and move in on your target as needed. Zornhau is extreme. The strike from your right, from Vom Tag, is extremely powerful, which is why getting the point out there is so important. The other thing too I find about this is, for people that like to hang out and plow, and I know I'm one of them, but people that sit here and spreck fencer and plow, they really have the drop on you if you're up here, if you think about it. Their tips there, they have a shorter range. And even though in tournament, sure, someone thrusts you, then you cut around, that's not going to happen in real life, and that's not what we train for, but that's something that, as we're trying to eliminate doubling, that's something right there that may or may not have actually happened. So if someone's tips online to you, that means you have to get it out there as quick as possible to keep this wall here. Because if they follow, otherwise they're following in on you like this right here, just like Spreck Fenster says, talking about all things are laid out in front of you. Anything that you do, you can perform anything within the art based from Spreck Fenster. So putting yourself out there and cutting to long point, not cutting through it, which gives them an opening, I think is advantageous for any fighter to build up in their capability. So, like I said, this is really just an exercise right here as far as for building up that target, the tip to target kind of accuracy and proficiency, as well as engaging other muscle portions of your body. And that right there, I think, will really help out as far as, especially when it comes down to a lot of people's other fencing. And you can really capitalize on closing quickly with an Oberhau cut that's very powerful, but also keeps your line covered, closed, and still threaten them with the tip. And if they walk in on you, that's a bonus, right? So, anyway, my name's Kurt Holfer. This is your 20-minute challenge, and I hope to see a lot of points in my face here in the rings here to come. So, until then, train on and fight on.